Encounter is brought to you by the Broome County Council of Churches, where we connect compassion with needs as we inspire growth with dignity. You'll find us in special places throughout the community. For those who remain hungry, we provide meals. For those who are challenged, we build wheelchair ramps. We comfort those who are ill, minister to those who are confined, and we remain an advocate for change and understanding on behalf of every element of our community. Connect and inspire. Encounter the Broome County Council of Churches.
Good morning. I'm apparently still Jeff Kellam, the Parish Associate at the Union Presbyterian Church, welcoming you to this week's edition of Encounter. We have a variety of gifts of guests from week to week on the Encounter program, some of them with little or no connection to the Broome County Council of Churches. But every once in a while it's good for us to kind of report to the stakeholders or the shareholders about the work of the council. And around this time of year, when the Ramp It Up program is in full swing, we often do kind of an annual report. Our guest today is not Bob Bundy, the coordinator of Ramp It Up, but Sue Spenser, who is the director of the Faith in Action Volunteers, and she is our guest today in Bob Bundy's place because they're busy, they're working. So Sue, welcome, and we'll be talking about Ramp It Up, we'll be talking about the Huli, which is coming up, and Huli is a new word for me. And
for me too.
Maybe for you too, so we'll kind of vamp our way through that. So let's talk first of all about Ramp It Up. Now at the beginning of our program it shows people building a wheelchair ramp. We've built over 100 ramps, I guess.
Well, last year we did our 150th ramp.
Well, that's well over 100.
Which we celebrated a little bit on that one, and I was counting off the big board because Bob puts all the ramps to come on his big whiteboard. And this weekend, it looks like we'll be doing 162.
Wow.
So.
Man.
Yeah.
And these ramps are, they enable people to leave their homes without being carried down the steps in a wheelchair or in kind of dangerous ways to leave the house. This is a safe and accessible way to get out and be a part of the community.
That's true, and not so much, not even just getting out, but sometimes getting in.
Sure.
You know, we've had calls from people who've been in rehab, and they'll be getting out of rehab, but they'll need to be able to get back into their house.
Right.
And they won't be able to do that without some kind of a ramp.
Yeah.
Or something, because they're in a wheelchair now. Yeah. So the Ramp It Up program actually started as a result of the floods back in like 2008, because there were issues with getting people safely out of their homes.
Wow.
And that kind of spawned the idea of let's build ramps, and then, you know, well, let's get the youth involved and turn this into a youth initiative. Right. So it's kind of an interesting story how just one idea built upon another and another.
Yeah. Literally built upon these things.
Yeah, that's true.
When the program started, I mean, people just start building ramps, but they have to be built to certain specifications so that they're perfectly safe and legal, I guess.
That's right. We build all our ramps to ADA. Was that American Disabilities Act specifications? So the angles and the length of things, so many feet per degree of height, they're like masterpieces. I mean, I was so impressed when I started. You know, to me, a ramp is just this platform. It can be like this, you know.
Right.
And I would look at the pictures and the designs of some of these ramps, and they're huge, and but they need to be safe.
Yes.
So now when I drive down the road and I see a ramp and it's not built to specifications, I cringe and I go, oh, that's wrong, you know.
And you know, we didn't build that ramp.
We didn't build that ramp.
Don't blame that on us. The ramps are designed, I've seen the computer program. We did a video a couple of years ago, and it was interesting. The computer program comes up, and each ramp has to be built according to the home, obviously.
That's true.
And some ramps will be longer than others, make a turn and so on.
It's a long process. We have to look at the property and make sure that the ramp can even be built there if it's going to work. And sometimes there's not enough space to do the length that we need to do. And then things have to be measured, and then we have 2 volunteer engineers who are retired who will meet and put together the drawings for the ramps.
Yeah.
You know, if we can meet, if the building and the property meets the specifications.
Sure.
And so it takes a while, you know, to put all that together, a lot of planning.
Let's assume that there are some folks who are encountering Encounter this morning and are thinking, gosh, we could use a ramp for Uncle Phil or Grandma. What's the process for getting on the list to have a ramp built? Well,
the first step is that you must live in Broome County. And then the process, if you go onto our website, then there's applications there, or you can call and we can mail you an application. But the process is pretty much just looking for need. Mm-hmm. You know, it isn't an income issue. However, we do use income to kind of prorate the cost. You know, yeah. Because some people, you know, are not able to afford, and some people can pay part and that type of thing. But it's basically just need.
Yeah.
You know, there's no age limit. We've done a couple ramps for younger people,
sure,
children.
Yeah, we often think of ramps as being used only by the elderly mm-hmm. or the disabled elderly, but there are children who
yes.
need wheelchair ramps too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So once your application comes in, and I will have to say that we have an overflow of applications too. You know, unfortunately the build season here is not long enough to accommodate everybody.
Right.
But
right.
You know, Bob will look through that and do a home visit and talk, and you know, it's a process.
Yeah.
It's a long process, but we want to make sure we do it right.
Right.
You know? Sure.
So it's based on need, and there's no one who is turned away because they can't afford it.
No.
And the funding would come both from the homeowner, if possible, but also there are some folks who come to build the ramp who will also help pay for the ramp. Is that right?
That's true. We work with youth, so this is the youth initiative. So we will have youth there along with adult mentors. A lot of them come from church groups or scout groups, school groups, yeah. They do. Some of them are very generous and donate. We get funding from other sources. Donations, yeah. grants, yeah. that type of thing, and all that goes into just building ramps. Yeah. You know,
the youth groups. This started as a youth initiative.
That's right.
Yeah.
It started as a youth initiative to bring. At that point, I think basically just youth groups, but bringing youth into the community to give them an opportunity to give back.
Right.
And not only that, but learn a skill, because building these ramps is not, you know, it's not for the faint of heart, you know.
Well, and I can see that. If I were a teenager and I had never hammered a nail before, because there are lots of teenagers who have never held a hammer, you know. I guess they know what it looks like, but they're so busy looking at screens that there's less and less call for people to do repairs in their own homes and pick up saws and
sure.
tape measures and that
yeah.
kind of thing. So it would be an educational experience.
Well, and we don't even use hammers. We use the electric drills. So.
See, that's kind of scary to me.
But, well, it's an interesting, you know, I really like the way it's set up, because we have T-shirts that everybody wears. I can show you one right here. You know, this nice red T-shirt.
Yeah.
This is the front.
So, Faith in Action Volunteers, okay.
Yep.
Broome County Council of Churches logo.
And then on the back is the Ramp It Up logo.
Youth Initiative Ramp It Up. Broome County Council of Churches with some BC characters.
That's right, yes.
So Mason Mastriani has...
But they also use 3 colors, so they have 3 different colors. So youth usually wear the blue,
yeah.
a blue shirt, and so if you see somebody in a blue shirt, that indicates that they're youth and they're there for the manual labor.
Right.
Red would be worn by adults that are part of the youth, the group that's there.
Right.
But the ones with the green shirts are the ones that can run the power tools.
Yeah.
So if you look over and somebody is running a saw and doesn't have a green shirt,
right,
you know,
then they're in trouble.
Then we call the police. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
No, but that's the way so that the group will know who's supposed to be doing what.
Yeah, I remember on Habitat for Humanity sites, youth could do certain things, but power tools were off limits, and there were certain things that were more dangerous than others that we wouldn't want youth doing.
That's right.
But in terms of putting these ramps together, there are lots of things youth can do.
Oh, there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot because, you know, we're cutting the lumber. Somebody's cutting the lumber. It needs to be taken over. Digging holes for the posts.
Yeah.
That's always fun, especially when there's tree roots, you know.
Right, or
and
rocks.
There's rain.
Yes, right.
And then just putting the slats. And so the adults, they're there to supervise and to help. And a lot of these teams have done this for year after year. So, you know, the adults are pretty knowledgeable of what's going on. Yeah. And they get everything set up on a Friday, and they start early Saturday morning. And if things go well, it's done by Saturday night.
Wow.
You know?
Right.
And
that's wonderful. That's such a quick process.
It is, but it's so rewarding for both, not only the recipient, but the people that are working on it. And I think it really gives the youth a sense of accomplishment.
And how many youth, how many people does it take?
Well, I think, ideally, you want maybe 6 to 8 youth, and maybe 4 or 5 other adults besides Bob, or we have a volunteer who will take turns to run the Ramp It Up builds with Bob. So, it's pretty much, you know, I don't know, Bob is great. He's got it down to a science. They know exactly what they're doing, you know. Yeah. They get there Friday night with the lumber's all there, and they get set up. So it's really good. And we recently were lucky enough to get a grant from Good Shepherd Foundation, so we were able to buy all new saws and drills and rechargeable batteries, and you know,
terrific.
And it was great, you know, because the things were getting a little worn out, you know.
Right. Well, and making this many each summer, I can see where there'd be some wear and tear on the tools and so on, and maybe on Bob too. Now, and with only 6 to 8 kids involved, many churches could do, their youth group could do that.
That's right.
Or if they don't have enough kids, because there aren't many kids who are part of youth groups these days, they could join with another church. That'd be a wonderful ecumenical project. The church around the corner, down the street, they could work together to build a ramp. And not just church groups, but you mentioned scouts. Scouts,
school groups. We have a builder. We're working on a build with a group from Binghamton High School, part of the Liberty Project, and I'm not real familiar with that, but it is for, you know, low-income youth. It's a project for them, so they'll be building a ramp. Windsor always builds a nice ramp for us, the Windsor School. Yeah. And you know, it could be a neighborhood group if you wanted. We had Children of Abraham built a ramp once and put a group together. Yeah. So, you know, really, it could be a family project if you've got enough youth and adults.
Right,
you know?
right. So that's another, not just calling the council to say, I need a ramp, but we've got some folks together, and what a neat activity that would be. Right. A family reunion could do this.
I know.
A group of folks who are just part of the neighborhood saying, let's get together and do something good for the community. Right. Or for one of our neighbors, or a neighbor across town. Right. You know, within the county.
We like to keep the youth involved in it because that's really so important. I think especially, you know, it's such a good opportunity for them, you know, and they feel so good about it when they're done. Especially, and the highlight is always when the recipient comes down the finish ramp for the first time. So
you had a quotation here from someone who had a ramp built.
Right, and I think this really tells that it's more than just a wooden structure, you know, for these people. So this recipient wrote, you built a huge addition to my life, not just a way to get out of the house. It's a way to enjoy the outdoors again, expand my living space, get the exercise I need, and most importantly, it's given me some optimism about the future. So
that's great.
So what a nice quote, you know. And it's more. It's so much more than just. It's showing that people care about them. You know, complete strangers are doing this for them. Yeah. And,
our guest today is Sue Spenser, who is the Director of Faith and Action Volunteers of the Broome County Council of Churches, and we're talking about the Ramp It Up program, which is just one of the many things that the Faith and Action Volunteers participate with. let's move toward the Huli part.
I've never heard. This is the first I've ever heard of a Huli. Oh, it's like a tongue twister.
It sounds like a Dr. Seuss thing. So tell us about the connection between whatever a Huli is and the Faith in Action.
Well, the Ladies' Ancient Order of Hibernians is a big supporter of Ramp It Up. And every year they have what they call, and I'm going to read it off the paper, the 16th annual Halfway to St. Patrick's Day Huli. And this year it's on September 13th, and it's at the American Legion Post on Robinson Street. But they have a 50-50 raffle, and this year they've made Ramp It Up the recipient of half of that raffle. Right. So one lucky person will win half, and Ramp It Up will receive the other half. So, so part of my mission today is to promote the raffle and let everybody know that we have raffle tickets available if anybody is interested.
The 16th annual Halfway to St. Patrick's Day Huli, Friday, September 13th, from 7 to 11. It's at the American Legion Post on Robinson Street. I go to the train show there. That's the only reason I know that building. Music by the Yada Yadas. That should be kind of fun too. So we'll mention that again too.
Sure.
So let's talk about how to get in touch with the Broome County Council of Churches for the Ramp It Up program, both as volunteers and persons who may need a ramp. How can they get in touch with you?
Well, you'd want to call our offices at 724-9130.
724-9130. Okay.
And you can either ask for Bob Bundy, who is the coordinator of Ramp It Up. He is only in a couple days a week, and right now he's in and out because of all the things going on, but you can always leave a message with him, or you can speak with me, Sue Spenser, the Director of Faith in Action. And if you want to buy a raffle ticket, you let us know and we'll work it out.
Okay. And the website is broomecouncil.org?
.net.
.net. broomecouncil.net.
And you can find more information out about Ramp It Up on the website, as well as Faith in Action.
Right. Good pictures there, and
pictures and paperwork if you're looking to apply for a ramp, or if you want to, you have a group that wants to build.
But a practical issue is insurance. Kids signed waivers, or their parents signed waivers, and so on for this?
Yes, that's all part of the paperwork to make sure that they're insured. And so we have permission, we have consent from the parents for them to go too.
Yes, I would imagine. Once again, I think going back to talk about the kids who are involved in building the ramps, that they not only are learning the skills, but they're also often interacting with the person for whom they're building the ramp.
Right.
And that's good for everybody.
It's
Everybody
great.
wins
It's
there.
great. I mean, it shows them that there's people out there who just need a little helping hand, and how easy it is to do that. It's one Saturday out of their life. It's not, you know, and I think our youth has a lot more compassion than we give them credit for sometimes.
Oh, sure.
You know, I mean, when you're young, you don't really show that too often, but you can see it there. They really care. They really care. They want to do a good job. You know, they want to make sure that it's done right.
Yes. Yeah, because the project itself is not something you're throwing together. This has got to be safe.
Yeah.
It has to be affordable for the person who's going to be using it. But it's a responsibility that youth will not have in many other forums in which they live and move and have their being. So it's.
And who knows? It may inspire someone to become a carpenter, or you know, or look into engineering or building. You know, it's just an opportunity to try something new. But
how long will the season go? How long will you be building?
Usually we go in, depending on the weather. Usually the first week or two of October.
Okay.
So we try to start at the end of April, if it's not too rainy. This year wasn't a great year for a start. You know, we try to extend the season as long as we can, but sometimes that's difficult. So we can do as many. But we usually average about 15 or 16 ramps.
That's wonderful.
A season. Yeah.
So this is just one of the programs of Faith in Action Volunteers. While you're here, let's just talk briefly about some of the others.
Well, we also do a program called Senior Living Ministry, where we find lay clergy and lay people and clergy to go to the nursing homes to do church services. We are also now doing a program called Chop and Chat, which is we're going out into senior centers and senior living facilities to promote healthy eating. And then, of course, we have our big seller, which is our transportation for medical appointments and groceries.
Right.
It's all volunteer run. All our volunteers do it for no charge.
Yeah.
And we just try to keep seniors independent for as long as possible.
The beauty of the ride service is that if you can give 2 hours a week or two hours a month, you sign up for it and you're kind of on call, but you also will have regular people that you probably see more than once.
Well,
establishing a relationship then.
Well, that's our whole gimmick here. We get people, we hook them by connecting them with these people, and they find out they really like being with these people.
Yeah.
And but I'm giving away trade secrets here,
right.
you know. But the relationships that form are really nice, and it's just as rewarding for the volunteer as it is for the person that's receiving the services.
Sure.
And we always need volunteers. So if you have a few hours, like you said, even a month. You know, if you can only drive once a month, it's helpful. It's helpful
to someone.
And we're always welcoming to new volunteers.
Now, does it take some training in terms of how to get someone in and out of a car and that kind of thing?
Well, one of our requirements to receive our services is you should be able to get in and out pretty much on your own.
Okay.
You know, I mean, we can offer an arm to steady or that type of thing, or you know, but the seniors have to be able to get in and out.
Okay.
Now, some vehicles may be different than others, so we keep track of who drives what and who needs what, and try to do that when we match, so that somebody isn't climbing into an SUV that really shouldn't be. And some of them will bring their walkers with them.
Right.
So you might have to put that in your trunk. But we do an orientation. So if you're interested in being a volunteer, you need to come in. And it's about an hour long, just an orientation. We go through what we do and then we also require a background check. So and that's pretty much it. And we have a wonderful database, which we just about a year ago started initiating the online scheduling. So if you have a computer, you can go online and you can look at all the rides that are available, and you can pick whatever you want instead of having us call you and nag you.
We'll edit out the word nag. Encourage.
Well, we joke about that, because a lot of times we end up playing a lot of phone tag with people, you know, because they're not home. So this is so nice. If the online scheduling is great, because you can go on at your leisure at your home computer and look at your calendar and say, okay, I can take this person this day, and you can accept them. It saves everybody a lot of time.
Sure.
So
and there's also a shopping component.
Yes, you're right. We do contract with the Office for Aging.
I'm paying attention.
You are.
I'm learning.
We contract with Office for Aging with their shopper program, and this is a program run by Office for Aging. They have specific criteria for the people who receive it, but once they find someone that needs a shopper, they come to us for the volunteer. And that would be an ongoing shopper, whether you want shopping twice a month or every week.
For food, clothing?
Mostly grocery, and they can make a few other little stops too. But that's for people who it's really difficult for them to get out of the house. They might be homebound, or they don't have the stamina to do a grocery trip. And it's a great program because, again, these volunteers come on a regular basis. You get to know each other, you know, and it's very rewarding.
So I don't want to put you on the spot about numbers, but how many volunteers are you working with?
I would have to guess about 130 at this point.
This is for
on a regular basis.
For the rides, for the chop and chat.
Chat, right. I mean, if we include, we have some people who will do just like little home repairs, so they don't get called a lot, but every once in a while. So I would say, if you want to include all the Ramp It Up volunteers, we're probably pushing closer to 200.
Sure,
you know?
yeah. And that, once again, the connection between the community and in terms of both needs and volunteering to meet those needs, putting faith in action, because that's
right.
Boy, that's the perfect name for this, is faith in action, putting your faith to work. The connection would be broomcouncil.net.
Yes.
Right? broomcouncil.net. And give the phone number one more time. You'll say it, and then I'll repeat it for those who are writing it down now.
Oh, does that mean I talk too fast?
No, not at all. It's just, you know, when was the last time you heard a phone number on the radio and stopped your car to write it down?
Yes.
You know, so phone number.
Okay, 724-9130.
9130.
That's right.
I think even I might have it by the end of the program. So we've been talking about Ramp It Up. The Ramp It Up program is in full swing now, with ramps being built every weekend, weather cooperating. And there has been some digging and building during some showers.
Yes,
so,
the rain, unless it's a torrential rain, that doesn't deter us.
Right.
And that's always fun when you're digging post holes in the mud. You know?
And then there's the Huli.
Can't forget the
16th
Huli.
annual Halfway to St. Patrick's Day Huli, Friday, September 13th. In case you were wondering when it was halfway to St. Patrick's Day, that's September 13th, and that's 2019. That's going to be sponsored by the Ladies' Ancient Order of Hibernians. And it'll be the American Legion Post on Robinson Street in Binghamton. And it's a 50-50 raffle. The proceeds to benefit Ramp It Up. So it's
$2 a ticket.
That's
$2 in a dream.
And a bunch of wood and some
a bunch
good
of
labor.
wood,
Sue Spenser has been our guest today on the Encounter program. She is the Director of Faith in Action Volunteers of the Broome County Council of Churches. We've been talking about Ramp It Up, one of the ministries of the Broome County Council of Churches. I want to thank you for joining us, and thank WBNG TV for the airtime and the production space. I always roll my eyes and look at the studio when I say that. And our thanks to Town Square Media radio stations for carrying the audio portion of our program. I'm Jeff Kellam for the Broome County Council of Churches, encouraging you to be gentle with people and with yourself.